In this video, I'm going to show you how to get started with Pixlr by photobombing yourself into the background of your choice. So you'll start here with the Pixlr site, and you may have already done this, but when you scroll down, you will see these two options, and you're going to choose Launch the Web App. We're going to be doing this all online. Okay, so we're going to open an image from computer, and this image is going to be the background that you Photoshop yourself into. So before you do this step, you should go online, find the image that you actually want to Photoshop yourself into, and save it somewhere that you remember. I've already saved mine, so I'll go ahead with this step. So I'm going to choose Open Image from Computer, and I'm going to find my image. Okay, so here's the image that I'm going to eventually Photoshop myself into. So if you look over here on the right hand side, you'll see your layers dock. And in your layers dock, we have our background. This is our background layer. Right now, this little lock next to it means that we cannot edit the background. We're going to keep it that way for now because in this project we really shouldn't have any need to edit the background too much. You can, and if you want to, you can just double click this lock and that'll make the background editable, but we'll do that later. Okay, so now I'll bring in the photo of myself. So again, I'm going to go to Layer, Open Image as Layer, and I will find the picture of myself that I've already saved and open it in Pixlr. So you should now find that picture of yourself, save it somewhere onto your computer, and we'll upload it. Okay, so when you open an image in Pixlr, it might be the perfect size. It might be exactly the size you want. That's great. As you can see here, my picture is really big. I want to make it smaller. So to do that, I'm going to move over here to Edit, and I'm going to choose Free Transform. This is going to allow us to edit the size of our image. So I'll click Free Transform. I'll grip the corner. I'm going to press and hold Shift so that the proportions of my image stay the same, and I'll drag it, and I'll just keep doing that to make it smaller. And I might even start with it a little bit bigger. It's easier to erase some of the details. So here's my image. Okay. So now I want to erase parts of this image. So it's asking me right now. It'll just do this randomly sometimes if you want to apply the changes. That's fine. So first thing I'm going to do is use the eraser tool over here just to erase the background out of my image. So right now, when I click erase, if I click erase over here on my background, nothing happens. But if I click erase on my image, it erases. And that's because over here in our layer stock, I have the image of me selected. I have this layer selected. Whatever I do will only affect whatever layer is highlighted over here. Okay, so I'm going to go in and erase, and as you can see, if I use this size eraser, it's going to take a while. So I'm going to change my brush size. There's different brush shapes and sizes. I'm going to start with this one, the one with kind of the fuzzy edges, the really big version, because it'll just be a little bit softer around the edges. I can go back in and do the hard edges in a second. So I'm going to choose my brush size, and now when I click out, it'll let me go in and erase. So I'm just going to go in and erase. And I'm going to get kind of close to my image, but not too close because I want to save all the fine details for when I'm going back in with a better brush. Okay, that's pretty good. So now I am going to choose a smaller brush, and I'm going to choose one with a harder edge. I think I'll go with 9 for now. We'll see if I like it still. And I'm going to go in and erase around myself. So I'm going to zoom way in. And so this is going to take you a little while, and I'll show you some tips. So for instance, from here down to here, that's pretty much a straight line. I could just freehand it and try and erase as straightly as I could, but the other thing you can do is click and erase in one spot. On my keyboard, I'm holding the Shift key down, and I'm still holding the shift key down, I'm going to move to where I want to erase my line, and if I click, it'll erase one big line. So that's a nice tool. So right now I am just going to go ahead and do this. And if you ever make a mistake, like I don't really like how I just erased that, you can do Control Z to stop that. And I might even go in a little bit further to see. Okay, and you're going to want to erase in small chunks. Like I want to maybe go here and stop, because then when I hit Control Z, it only erases that little part. Let's say I tried to do this all in one swipe and I tried to go all around my head and then I made a mistake. If I hit Control Z, it'll get rid of all my work. So kind of do this in short bursts. This is going to take me a second. I'm going to actually go through and try and really carefully erase myself. So you can pause this and skip ahead once you've completed this step. As you can see here, I'm using a lot of the line tool. I mean, like the shift and click. Very useful. Okay, so I've done the outline around myself. Now I'm going to go back in with a bigger brush and get rid of all the details. So, yeah, just like that. And in this case, sometimes it's nice to not be able to see the background while you're doing this. So I am going to unlock the background. And when I uncheck this box, it's going to get rid of it. So I'm just going to keep doing that. But now, so I'm going to uncheck it. But now I need to make sure, and this is really important, that you go back and click on the layer you actually want to erase before you go back in and erase. And I'll switch back over to my smaller brush. Okay, so there's my picture of me. Let me bring back my image of Shameless. Okay, I'll zoom back out to my normal thing. Okay, so if you remember in my example, I was kind of positioned right here behind the couch. Right now I'm too big for this photo, it doesn't look realistic, so I'm going to go back to edit and click free transform so I can resize myself to a size that I think is reasonable. That's not bad. Maybe a little smaller. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make my colors kind of match the colors of this. So you can see if you look at me, like I'm a little more shadowed than everybody else. So I'm going to go to adjustment and I'm going to choose brightness and contrast. And I'm going to increase my brightness until I feel like I match the photo. And maybe increase my contrast too. That's pretty good. Okay. Okay, so now final step, I need to make it look like I'm behind the couch. So I'm going to take, there's two ways you can do this. I'll show you both. So the first way that you can make yourself kind of disappear is, and this is a little more complicated but also a little faster, and it requires a new tool, is I'm literally going to try and copy this section of the couch and place it on top of me. So I'm going to use this tool right here. It's called Lasso. And I'm going to select my background layer. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take a big section of the couch like this. And I'm going to do Control C, Control V, and now I have that extra layer. So if I move myself, I click on my layer. If I want to move myself back over here, now when I drag, whoops. Now when I select that other layer, I drag it over. I can kind of replace it right. That's pretty good. There. And it looks like I'm behind the couch. That's one way you could do it. If you are not ready to do that yet, that's fine. I'm going to delete this and show you the other way to do it. The other way, super simple. You're just going to erase yourself. So again, I'll start with the larger eraser. And as I get closer to the edge of the couch, I'm going to use a smaller eraser and zoom in. I think I erased too much there. I'm going to try it again. That might be pretty good. Zoom back out. And there you go. I'm in Shameless. So again, of the two ways that I erased the lower half, the one where you create the layer and put it on top of yourself usually tends to look a little bit more realistic, but this is also completely fine. So that's how you do it. When you save your work, you're going to go to File, Save, and you are going to save it as a JPEG when you are completely done with your work. This will get rid of all the layers, so it's just one complete image. If you are not done with your work, this is important, make sure you save it as a PXD. This keeps the layers intact so that if you come back to work on it at another time, you can still choose a layer to edit without editing the whole photo. So I'm going to save it, and when I click OK, it'll ask me to save it somewhere on my desktop or wherever you choose to save it. Save it, and then you're going to upload this to Google Classroom. There's a slide on Google Classroom, a slideshow, and you're going to put yours into that. And that is the first lesson on using Pixlr to edit and erase in a photo.